Hello, we're here in Barcelona with Grant Schutte of Actega, and today we wanted to talk about the technology behind us. We had very similar interview from the Chicago show. If you could just tell us a bit more about the updates you have for us in terms of technology.
Yeah, no problem. So there's for this technology, there's if you recall, there's two main areas. One of which is how the labels are made, and the other one is how they're applied.
Right.
And so since we last spoke, in terms of how the labels are made, nothing really fundamental has changed, except the technology has progressively been rolled out to different substrates. So our initial focus, if you remember, was glass. We now have PET. We have some limited but coming can applications, and then shortly we're looking to come out with HTP, which is obviously very important for the personal care side, making sure that we're just providing the right performance for the right end-use application as well, because it's not just does it stick to the substrate, does it do the job that it needs to do if it's sitting in a shower and it's a shampoo bottle, etc., as an example. So on that side, the chemistry is continuing to develop, and especially with our partnership with Author Labels, there's been a lot of very good work on advancing the print robustness, print speeds, print finishing, etc., and some interesting developments around things like foiling or other embellishment technologies. In terms of the applicator side, that's probably the biggest news since we spoke last, in that while at that time we had a similar low-speed applicator like this, it was in various customers. Last year, between when we spoke last and today, we launched with our machine partner the rotary platform. So these are kind of the big scaling developments that really get you to the target customer base that we generally look for in higher volume areas. So that's probably the big news in terms of where the technology is, if that makes sense.
Yes, and you mentioned Author Labels, and I spoke to the printer earlier today, and they mentioned how important is scalability, and they highlighted the fact that there were many new technologies coming in that were never reached to that point. But how is it important? How important is it from the Actega point of view to have a partner like Author Labels?
There is no way this technology becomes real without that partnership. You know, we made a decision to go really deep with one partner because the partner needs to really invest time, skilled people, infrastructure to be able to show that it can be made day in, day out across the world. And so you're not dealing with these little niche applications. And so to do that, we decided, and we're very happy to go exclusive and deep with Author Labels in terms of that development. Because whether it's the guys in Leeds, which was our first site with Author Labels, or subsequently in Spain and in Italy, and South Africa is doing a fantastic job coming along. It needs to be real where labels are made for those customers, and that's about, do I have the right capital, right? Do I have the right presses? Do I have the right finishing machines, etc.? Can I produce it day in, day out? And it's not something that you're doing on the side. It needs to be mainstream for it to deliver on the promise of it. And so for us, Author Labels has been incredibly important. They're also printers. They do it day in, day out. And so when you get into these discussions, we get to see, oh, okay, is this something that we can do? Is this something that you can do? And then we take the next step and advance it. So that's a huge topic.
So talking about next steps, can you share any future plans for the technology?
Yeah, so we have our first commercial placement of rotary that's been executed already. We have multiple smaller developmental customers that are getting these machines dotted around, which I'd rather they talk to at some point. But this is getting very real here. the plans for this in terms of its entry and then scaling are looking very, very promising. So that to me is where it becomes super exciting, because until it's in people's hands and on the shelves, it's an interesting technology, but it's not real. And so that's the phase that we're in now. We talked about, the difficulty here, that it's not just can author labels print it and supply it, but is there somebody that can, take that roll of labels and make finished containers out of it. And so that's the fun part, actually.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.